Hey, so back by unpopular demand, me. I've been away for months, getting double penetrated by work and college, but I never forgot about the channel. How could I, when the comment this guy left saying, "Babe, wake up, new quest video," is the one thing that gives me strength to keep going every single day. Anyway, today's video is going to be a short, clean, not very heavily edited, and perhaps not very safe for the family one, depending on whether or not I forget my medication. I don't usually like to make videos like this, where it's just me talking about some random news drama bullshit like PB poo-poo situation is crazy or Mr. Penis drama is insane. I don't usually like to make videos over just some gameplay in the background. I really would rather make 30+ minute long videos with some nice editing about some obscure topic in Japan or something. In fact, I'm working on 3 of those right now, but today's topic really caught my eye and I just couldn't help myself to talk about it right now, so this is all you get. Anyway, on to the topic at hand. Today, the 23rd of December, was the announcement day for what is perhaps the 9/11 of anime artists, and the end of the profession as we know it. That's not true, I made that up for dramatic effect and because I enjoy lying, but there are people getting mad over this. This right here is the poster for Twins Hinahima. The first, or at least the first that we know of, anime made with AI. PR Times, one of the biggest news portals in Japan, made an extensive article about it and even interviewed 2 big names in the anime industry, and we'll get into that article in a bit, but before that, let's at least check out what the premise of the show is. So, according to the official website, Himari and Hinana, 2 high schooler twins who dream of going viral. Starting out with dancing, they recorded every bit of material that seemed promising, and after noticing something strange happening, they stepped into a weird world. That's it. That is literally it. Well, actually, there's a little bit down there in the profile section, but it doesn't really elaborate on what this is about any more than the section above. It just says there are twins who live in Tokyo. Himari is the older sister, the one with the white hair, and then Hinana is the other one, obviously, like no shade. They started posting on TikTok because it was popular around them, and basically they love anime and would try to cosplay dance one day, but they ain't got no money to do it. I mean, reading all of this makes me feel nothing else other than sorrow. This is worse than waking up and it hurts to swallow. This is the orange juice after toothpaste of anime descriptions. This makes me want to get a colonoscopy with a scimitar. My biggest issue isn't even with the TikTok part. I was literally talking to a friend of mine the other day about how if I'm ever to get married, I'd want to get married to someone who has as many milliliters of autism in their blood as I do. You know, like that one TikTok girl that does parking lot reviews. My issue with this is that it's an isekai. When was the last good isekai that came out? The Eminence and Shadow maybe? Shield Hero, at least the first season? Overlord it's okay, I guess. Things just haven't been good since Harame died, man. Wait, actually, Sword Art Online came out before he passed on to the Netherrealm, so things were shit even before that. Regardless, this very short, non-explanatory description is always a red flag. It's like those job offerings on LinkedIn that just go, must know letters and numbers and also speak and talk, and then they say nothing else. Now, another point of concern for me is the studio behind all of this. First of all, Frontier Works is producing this anime, which can be a really good thing or a really bad thing. But what really worries me is the studio making it. Kaka Creations. What the fuck? Does that name ring a bell? No, idiot. Of course it doesn't. This is their first anime. The first bit of news on their official website was in June of 2023, and ever since then, all they've been talking about is Hinahima and about fundraising shit. Their homepage just has a looping video of these 2 skinwalkers dancing with the phrase, "Empowering creators through AI. More creations that connect the world." And then down below it has their mission, because every modern company is like fucking Solid Snake, always on a mission. I'm not going to read all of that because it's just talking about how AI is just a tool to increase efficiency, and at the end of the day what moves people is true creativity and passion, which I do agree with. But then down below they state their vision, which says, number 1, using the power of AI to create a world where anyone can create anime. Number 2, with the speed and efficiency of AI, rapidly increase the number of anime produced around the world. Number 3, creating a new business model that will return money to creators. Then, even further below, they have the names and pictures of their staff, which, I mean, considering what they're doing here, this is like the Old West equivalent of killing an entire town full of people and then putting up your own wanted poster. Also, please don't go harass these people, like, for the love of God, you're 43 years old, act like it. So, they talk about AI only being a tool to bring up the efficiency of the creative process and not being a Deus Ex Machina type of deal that will create everything. But how is it that they use AI to make this animated Rorschach test? Well, they use the term supportive AI in an effort to describe the usage of AI in order to, quote, reduce even a little bit the gigantic amounts of work that are causing labor shortages and expanding work hours in the anime industry, and also establishing new expressions that were previously difficult to achieve through drawing and CG. Now, the really interesting part about this is the specific usage of AI in this anime, which they broadly explain in this preview video. Now, if this anime is the shoe, here comes the pebble. Put on your nicest pair of jorts, grab your Nesquik, and let's watch it together. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt this like literally 4 seconds in, but what the shit is this choice of music? I'm fairly certain that this is the song that plays when you open up Warhammer 40k. This is an anime about TikToker high school girls, for fuck's sake. Play something appropriate like, I don't know, Taylor Swift or Perfume or like Papa Roach or something, bro. Why are you playing this music like these girls are about to fucking go fight the Tyranids? I won't lie, I think I saw this picture in one of my nightmares while I was extremely high on Benadryl one time. I'm also fairly certain that I drew this after I accidentally let my crayons fall on top of my picture book when I was in first grade. Now, I won't lie, the animation looks slightly better than what I expected, because I expected something like this, to be fair. Okay, now that that's over, let's have a look at the comments. I'm sure it'll be good things. Oh, okay. Well, that is a pussy move. This reminds me of the time I was in preschool, and one of the kids in my class pulled down my pants in front of the whole class, and then immediately made a beeline towards the teacher's office so I couldn't wipe the floor with his fucking face. Jason, if you're hearing this, I hope you die in a fire. Anyway, at least the like to dislike ratio must be good. Huh. I'm fairly certain they could have made a video of the same length and quality, but instead of making both of them dance, they'd just be saying the hard R gamer word over and over, and they would still get a better reception than this. 100 out of these likes are probably from family members and Frontier Works executives. It's a bit difficult to gauge the opinions of Japanese people on this, since, well, the comments are off and whatnot. But given the numbers of likes and dislikes, it's pretty safe to say that they're not happy. That is, until I remembered that Yahoo exists. That's right, Yahoo is a real thing that has an existence and can be perceived by people. And thankfully, Japanese people are extremely active on Yahoo. So all I did was look for twins Hinahima in Japanese on Google, and sure enough, the good thing about Yahoo is that it has reactions to the comments as well, like, I agree, I see, and so we can measure the agreement levels between the comments a bit. So let's read a few comments, obviously not all of them because, you know, I have a rotisserie chicken in the oven and I don't got all fucking day. So starting off, Japanese companies tend to have a tendency to think that a new tool has been released, that it will improve efficiency and that it should be used by the whole company. And in the end, even if they start using ChatGPT, the results aren't really that great. In the US, for example, large language model AI has actually achieved great results in specialized fields, and right now I think that only a few experts are benefiting from that. Coloring, as mentioned in this article, is a task where the accuracy improvement due to AI's learning function can be demonstrated in full, and that's precisely why in these areas the cost benefits of replacing human work with AI is going to be great. We tend to expect a little too much from tech companies' exaggerated advertising, and for example, we're shown video generation from text like Sora and are told that it's an innovation, but that's really just because of the advertising. But really, in specific fields, the replacement of humans with AI is progressing only little by little. At least that's how it feels. You know, I tend to agree with this type of take. I actually work with AI, but not generative AI. It's computer vision. I don't really dabble too much into generative AI, but my team lead at least likes to talk about it a lot, and from the conversations that we've had, even he doesn't really think that AI is progressing all that fast, at least in that field. Like the comment says, OpenAI's text-to-video model, Sora, seemed like a huge advancement, and to a certain degree it is, but obviously we've mostly seen it in OpenAI's own advertisement mechanism, and not in a true commercial setting. And if you use ChatGPT or Gemini, you know that those models are still very limited. As to whether or not AI will replace human beings, well, it most likely will to a certain level, but you and I probably won't be around when that happens. Also, I just noticed that that person that left that comment is called AI bot. Maybe we already are being replaced, if bots already have enough sentience to make such elaborate comments. And here we have Tayo, I'm pretty sure that's a rapper right there. Oh no wait, that's Made in Tayo. Commented, I think it's okay to use AI if, like with X, the terms and conditions are communicated in advance and the AI learns from illustrations stored within the company. I think it would be a new approach if an animation company built an AI that only trained in its own company's illustrations and used that to create anime. But AI right now is trained regardless of copyright, even for commercial purposes. As long as the law and discussions around it don't keep up, criticism is inevitable, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was treated in any way in the future. And then the comment below brings up a similar point, saying, the problem is that it's learning without permission, but if it was all learning from illustrations you created, no one would complain. Generative AI is essentially a processing tool that converts input into output. For example, if you import someone else's illustration into Photoshop and apply filters and effects, it doesn't change the fact that you are using someone else's illustrations without permission, no matter how many illustrations you add. Since generative AI is also a processing tool, this turns out to be a problem. But this is being swept under the rug by the deception of treating generative AI learning and human learning as the same thing. And I agree with these two comments. Making a model learn is not the problem in and of itself. It's the legality in terms of permissions conceded by the authors of the source material that begs the question. If I make a pack with hundreds of illustrations hand-drawn by me and I sell it to someone so that they can train their model, that shouldn't be an issue at all. It's like if someone in school hears the teacher go, okay class, I'm about to collect last week's homework. And then the guy behind you who you have never even interacted with and you didn't even know was a part of the class up until now goes, hey bro, can I copy your homework? If you say, sure, that's fine, just change stuff up so she doesn't notice, that's perfectly okay because you, the person who created the material, have been asked permission by someone to use said material and you chose to grant it. Problem is, if you go, nah man, I put a lot of work into this and I don't think it's fair for you to just spend no effort and get the same grade as me, and then you leave to go to the restroom, and that motherfucker takes your notebook and copies your work anyway, then that's a huge issue. The other problem, at least that I see, is that nowhere in the article or in Kaka Creations' official website do they explain how they trained their model, or whatever model they might have acquired from a third party. Or at least, not that I've seen them explain anywhere. Looking at their staff members, even though some of them have worked on big projects with the likes of Ultraman and Niji Sanji, it doesn't really seem like any of them are artists that did any sort of actual hand-drawn stuff at any point, so it's kind of a mystery how their generative AI models were trained. And then someone put on that tinfoil condom and just went, this is so much better than outsourcing to China and having to worry about North Korea's involvement. What the Now, there are a lot of other comments. Most of them, though, are repeating the points above regarding the legality of training AI models and questioning how the company trained theirs. I'm not going to read all of them, but I will link the article in the description down below so you can go and read the other comments for yourself, if you so desire. Well, the Japanese are sure skeptical of this whole thing, but what about us Westerners? See, I originally found out about this anime through MangaMogura, which is one of my favorite Twitter accounts and a must-follow if you're a fan of manga. They tweeted this out, and the responses were in typical Twitter fashion. I strongly feel that this is an insult to life itself. Worst rated anime of all time incoming. Maybe it's time for companies to finally respect the animators and actually pay them instead of escaping to AI. Ever think of that? Now, this person might have a point. I can't really say whether or not it's pure corporate greed that stops these companies from properly paying their artists, or if it's some actual tangible and sensible reason, but anime artists really get the short end of the stick in terms of getting paid and overworked. I think I mentioned this in my Crunchyroll 2023 awards video, but as an example, freelance artists who worked on Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 went so far as to tweet out they wanted to kill themselves from exhaustion. I mean, really, just anime artists might have it better by straight up just taking commissions to draw Vaporeon and getting just absolutely railed from behind by Palkia or something, because it really is rough out there. We will not be watching. Please stop. And then, oh my god, just look at this hand, bro. What do you mean you retouched it by hand? I mean, for fuck's sake, even Rule 34 artists who generate images of like Genshin characters getting ass pounded do some retouching on the hands. I mean, well, not that I would know actually about that. Never mind, forget what I said. This shit is so ass. Love knowing what not to watch. Let's not watch this ever. This shit is about to get a 0.5 on my anime list. There are 73 reply tweets to this tweet right now. I'm not going to read all of them, obviously, but they're mostly the same. It's just like, let's not watch this. This is shit. This is ass. And that's really par for the course with how you would expect people to react to this. But let's move on to a more interesting part of the article. The interview with Tezuka Makoto. If you don't know who Tezuka Makoto is, don't feel bad, because before this, I didn't know who he was either. Turns out that Tezuka family name is not for nothing. This guy is none other than Tezuka Osamu's, the creator of Astro Boy, Princess Knight, and Dororo, oldest son. And he's not being interviewed just because he's the son of a mangaka who is regarded as the god of manga, the father of manga. He is actually a filmmaker with a fairly extensive portfolio. Now, I have a question for you. We talked about utilizing someone else's work with or without their permission to train generative AI models. What happens when you do this with the works of your dad, who is fucking dead? Because that's what Makoto Boy here did. This video by ANN News on YouTube goes in depth in regards to it, but Makoto-san here made an adaptation of his father's Blackjack by utilizing AI to do things such as help with story writing and background stories for characters. Emphasis on the word help, though, as they actually hired several artists and screenwriters and even director Hayashi Kaizo to help fuse all of the generated mini-stories into an amalgamation that made sense. They also show how they use generative AI to come up with character design ideas in the style of Tezuka Osamu by inserting keywords such as young woman, cyborg, robot, and partially roboticized. I don't even know if that's a word, I just made it up. They generated ideas for character designs for a character named Maria. Lastly, they show how the actual soul of the work and final touches were done by hand. This is, however, a much lesser degree of involvement by AI than twins Hinahima. If you look back at the video that we watched 1,778 words ago, the artists making Hinahima were much less involved in the actual art than these artists are, given that with Hinahima, the only real drawing they had to do was the storyboarding, which is like the basics of the basics in terms of animation. And then had the AI generate Hinata and Himari over the rough sketches that would later be retouched slightly by hand. And remember, they reported, the Kaka Creation themselves reported that over 95% of the cuts were supported by AI, which I highly doubt was the case with Blackjack. The rest of the interview with Tezuka-san is pretty interesting, but again, not going to read all of it because it's somewhat extensive. But to summarize it all, he talks about how he's been working in the video industry for many years and how other technological advances have already happened, like for example CGI, which came out in the 80s, and people at the time were also worried about the extinction of jobs such as actors and stuntmen. And he says how it turned out that it wasn't the case. Actors and stuntmen didn't disappear, and how he feels the same way about AI in his work. He says that nowadays you don't really say we use CG in movies, and how he thinks that the only reason why everyone is concerned about AI being used in anime is because production companies are saying we are using AI. But if they didn't say anything, people wouldn't know anything. He was also asked about what he thinks about learning by AI, and he brings up a point that I think I remember Asmongold bringing it up back when he made his original take on AI art that blew up on Twitter, which is essentially like a lot of people have already previously copied Tezuka Osamu because a lot of people learned to draw by copying his style and learning from it, which again, I think that's debatable, but that's not really the point of the video. I highly encourage you to go and have a look at this interview yourself though, because he does bring up some good points from the point of view of someone who is a known creator in this medium and as someone who is actually trying to implement the usage of AI in his work. Now, if you were thinking, this guy don't know nothing about art, he just a director and producer or something like that, Have a load of this. The next interview is with none other than Yoshikazu Yasuhiko. This is the guy who did the OG character design for a very indie, you probably don't even know it. It's not really a well-known franchise. It's called Mobile Suit Gundam. I'll read a few bits and pieces from his interview, but again, I encourage you to go check out the full interview yourself. There is a labor shortage problem in the anime industry, so I wanted to ask you about whether or not AI can be used as a supportive tool. What do you think about that? To which Yasuhiko replies, "When I watch test videos that utilize AI, there are some things I want to say, but given the current situation where we are short of manpower and we're making pathetic quality work at a low level, isn't it reasonable to expect that AI might raise the bar?" He's also asked if, for example, he could use AI tools in the same way as pen and paper to help materialize the images in his head. Would he like to use them to create something? To which he answered, "No, I don't think I would like to use it personally, but I think it could be used to support anime production in different ways, even right now. Like, for example, if they can do things like the in-between frames, I think they should do it as much as they can. AI today is, for better or worse, a tool or technology. But is there anything that Yasuhiko-san would like AI to help with or support right now?" To which he replied, "There isn't anything in particular that professional manga artists would want. I also draw backgrounds, though it's kind of a pain. But in the case of animation, if there is a shortage of manpower, I wish they could help with in-between frames or extras, passerbys, or the rest of the classrooms and school dramas. If they can do it, I feel like I should ask them to." And he's referring to basically like backgrounds and things like that, which to him is a pain to draw. He was asked the same thing that Tezuka Makoto was asked about AI models learning, quote unquote, from actually hand-drawn art. I don't know what kind of learning attitude AI has, but it's learning, right? I don't really say copying, but learning. Learning is not about absorbing everything because there are preferences and nuances, but it's more like, oh, I'll learn this part. For example, you don't really incorporate things you don't like, and you don't incorporate things that are technically impossible. Learning in and of itself is natural, and I think it's basic. Now, he brought up a good point. A shortage of manpower. That ties in with one of the points brought up in the article that points out other problems that the anime industry is facing regarding harsh working conditions, very tight schedules, and an old production process that heavily relies on manual labor and hasn't changed in decades, really. And if you know Japanese culture, you know how resistant it is to change. Twins Hinahima is supposed to be a demonstration of how AI can help solve those issues, supposedly. Whether or not that'll be the case, we'll just have to see. Personally, I'll 100% give this a watch. Not because I'm excited, I'm not, but because I'm curious as to how it's going to turn out in the end, in terms of quality, general acceptance by the public, and whether or not they'll be able to reach their goal of making a creative process that solves labor shortages, bad working conditions, and outdated creative decisions. The road to being replaced by AI is definitely a long one, but it's like that famous saying, it's not about the destination, it's about whether or not the gas stations along the way have clean enough toilets for you to take a shit in. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you did not enjoy the video, leave a dislike. Follow me on Twitter at UsagiHangyaku. I might not be consistent putting out videos, but you can bet your ass I'm on Twitter putting out my delusions. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.